I'm ready. All right, what is this? The horrifying deaths of Yellowstone National Park. I'm gonna be real, the amount of signs they have around like pits like this, if you fall in, it's, I don't know, man, it's natural selection at a certain point.
Yellowstone National Park is one of the most beautiful places on Earth.
Man.
Even just between the mountains and the wildlife, it would already be one of the most beautiful, but there are other features here that make it truly unique. The thermal features at Yellowstone, including the famous painted pot pools, are some of the most striking features found anywhere. They almost don't even look—
They have hot pools like that in like New Zealand, and there's signs everywhere telling you not to fucking go near them because they can boil, they can spit out and boil you alive.
Look like they're from this planet. But, as is often the case, this beauty is deceptive. Many of these pools bubble away at close to boiling, and some are as acidic as battery acid.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you can imagine what would happen if you were to fall in.
That's horrible.
These are the horrific instance of Yellowstone National Park, and as always, viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Like, my parents clubbed me over the head about like safety and dangers. I feel like some people's parents just don't tell them nothing, and then they're like, oh no, I'm gonna sue the park for misdangerment and endangerment. It's like, you know what, Mother Nature be scary. You think that cavemen didn't fucking fall in those things, and then the other cavemen were like, ooh, don't go there, you'll get killed. Like, you think that shit doesn't happen?
Colin probably didn't think twice when he stepped off the boardwalk at Yellowstone National Park.
No, he thought twice. He wanted to go touch the water that's 1,000,000 degrees. Yeah.
It's something plenty of people do, although they really shouldn't. Maybe it's for a better photo, a closer look, or just the thrill of exploring someplace you're not supposed to be.
Well, it's another thing that I always got taught when I was a kid is that if you start doing it and everybody else starts doing it, it ruins it for everyone. Because the nature's gonna get like destroyed around the place that you're taking a photo for.
Colin was 23 years old and visiting the park with his sister Sable in early June of 2016.
Yeah, even the steam can like
They'd made their way to
Norris
Basin, an area known for its acidic hot springs and geysers, and it's one of the most otherworldly places in the park. Steam rises from the ground, strange colors.
Как по-русски будет гейзер или гейзер? I forgot. Geysers or geysers? Geyser. Okay. It's not gaze.
Bubble under the surface of the large pools, and the whole area hisses from heat. At some point, Colin and Sable left the path and walked into an off-limits zone. This seemed harmless enough because they'd obviously be careful, even though they knew it was off-limits.
Dude, my parents would scream at me if I did this.
The problem was that the ground in these areas looks solid, but actually isn't. In this area, the land beneath your feet can crumble, and just beneath it is scalding, sometimes acidic water, hot enough to melt skin. According to officials, the brother and sister were looking for a place to hot pot, which is an illegal and extremely dangerous activity where people try to soak in the park's thermal waters.
Why?
This is something that can be done at certain hot springs, but Yellowstone's pools just aren't that kind.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they destroy almost anything that touches them.
No shit.
Sable was recording videos with her phone as they walked, documenting what just seemed like a cool, fun thing to do. When they reached one of the pools, Colin crouched down near the edge to test the temperature. This is when he lost his balance, and what happened next was fast and devastating as Colin fell in.
I cannot imagine, like, seeing that yourself. Some dude's face melting off, their eyes.
The water in that area was a boiling temperature of 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 Celsius, and while Sable immediately dropped her phone to try to help her brother, there was no saving it and nothing she could do. And with no
Dude, I think the grossest part is like if it's melting off like your body and your muscle and stuff, and then you get boiled.
Phone signal in this area of the park to get help, she had to run to the nearest ranger station. When rescue teams arrived, what they found was horrific. Parts of Colin were still visible in the pool, including his torso, hands, and head.
That's so horrifying! You know they dissolve like people, like bodies in battery acid to get rid of evidence. That's literally what happened to him.
His shirt was recognizable, and a cross necklace appeared to be resting on his face, but that was all that remained of him in just a few moments after falling in. A lightning storm was also rolling into the area, and the conditions were too dangerous to attempt a recovery, so retrieving him would have to wait. The next day, when Rangers returned, there was nothing left to recover.
Well, yeah, it got boiled. Sorry.
The superheated, acidic water had completely dissolved Colin's body.
That sucks,
Only a few personal items remained as a sign that he had ever been there, just his wallet and flip-flops.
Nature is frickin' scary, man.
Colin had just graduated from college, and he was planning to pursue a doctorate after his trip to Yellowstone, but one small decision had ended everything.
Shouldn't have done that.
It was a mistake that cost him his life, and the horror of it left a lasting mark not just on his family, but on the people who tried to recover what remained of him.
I hope his ghost encourages people not to do the same thing he did. If that happened to me, I'd be like, ooh, don't come near this place. Go back, return the slab.
His death is one of the most chilling reminders of how unforgiving Yellowstone's hydrothermal features can be.
It's a horrible way to die too. You feel every single part.
The tragic thing is,
you would feel every single part up until the point where your nerve endings burn off, which takes a little bit of time. So chat, imagine you're feeling the pain of 1,000 suns all over your skin, and then your nerve endings only burn off after like 2 to 3 minutes.
Signs are posted and the warnings are clear, but when they're ignored, the consequences can be unimaginable. I wish that upon my
worst enemy, not gonna lie.
Every year, 4 million people make the trip to Yellowstone National Park, and for good reason.
Pretty. I wanna go
it's
there
really
one
a place
day.
like no other, with stunning mountains, herds of bison and elk roaming freely, and hydrothermal features that look like something more from another planet than anything you expect to find in the American West. Geysers shoot hundreds of feet into the air, pools shimmer in bright.
Imagine being a caveman and just chilling in there, and then you get shot up in the air. I don't know.
Turquoise, oranges, and golds, and mud pots bubble like cauldrons. It's almost like a show put on by the Earth itself, and people travel from all over the world to see it.
I love Mother Nature.
But all that beauty across 3,468 square miles hides something vicious.
Probably smells
Yellowstone
funky.
sits on
If you go to Rotorua, in New Zealand, the entire town smells like stinky eggs, and it takes you like a whole day to get used to it. Cause Rotorua is like really famous for the stinky geysers, the geysers. Yeah, it smells like stinky eggs, and then after like a day or two, you get used to it and you don't smell it anymore.
Top of a supervolcano, and all the colors and eruptions are the surface level symptoms of the heat and pressure churning below. As a result, more than 10,000 hydrothermal features dot the park, and in fact, more than half of the world's active geysers are found here. To walk across these basins, though, is also to step across some of the thinnest crust on Earth.
Ooh,
in some places, the ground is only inches thick, and just beneath
these people, they're smart. They don't need, like, fences around them. And they don't need to like have like a sign. They're just enjoying Mother Nature for what she is.
The surface is acidic water heated to boiling or near boiling temperatures.
What a nice family.
Step in the wrong spot and you might not get back out. Because of these dangers, the National Park Service constantly warns visitors that the boardwalks and trails are there for a reason.
Yeah, you'll
Stray
die.
off of them and the consequences can be swift and fatal.
Yep.
Since 1890, at least 22 people have died after falling into Yellowstone's hot springs.
That's actually a lot. That's a lot more than I thought. I thought it was maybe like 5 or 10.
That's nearly 3 times the number of deaths caused by bear and bison attacks in the park. Hundreds more have suffered burns, some so severe that the bodies never fully recovered. So for all the attention Yellowstone's wildlife gets, it's the ground itself that has claimed the most victims. And the danger isn't always obvious either. The allure of the bright blue and orange pools might be strong, but their color comes from thermophiles, which are heat-loving microorganisms that survive only in extreme temperatures.
Yeah, I studied these
in other words, the prettier the pool looks, the hotter and more dangerous it probably is. The crust around them may also appear solid, but it can give way like rotten floorboards, sending anyone standing there—
I thought the orange stuff around was copper.
—straight into water hot enough to cause third-degree burns in less than a second. Park historian Lee Whittlesey spent years compiling accounts of these tragedies in his book, Death in Yellowstone. He found stories of children who slept from their parents' grasp, teenagers daring each other to take risks, workers looking for a shortcut after dark, and tourists convinced they were safe just a few steps off the trail. All different people in different circumstances, yet all suffered similar endings. Taken all together, Yellowstone is one of the most stunning—
Even animals don't go near this kind of stuff. They're like, it's hot, it's probably not very good. But people, for some reason, humans are like, yes, I need to go touch the hot stuff.
natural wonders in the world, but it's also a reminder that beauty and danger often share the same space, and it's always best to keep a safe distance from both when in the same park. Today, sticking to the
yeah, and then they never do it again, and then all the other animals are like, nah, I ain't going near that shit.
Paths and boardwalks in Yellowstone much more often than not equates to a safe and enjoyable visit, but that wasn't always the case. In the summer of 1970, the Heck family was doing what so many families do in Yellowstone by taking in the sights around the infamous Old Faithful. This is a massive geyser that erupts roughly every 90 minutes and has done so since at least 1870 when it was named. Like countless tourists before them, they followed the boardwalks that wind through the geothermal features. It should have been an ordinary day of sightseeing, but instead, it ended in one of the most haunting tragedies in the park's history.
Oh no, did
9-year-old Andy Hecht was walking with his parents and siblings near a spring called Crested Pool. It's a deceptively beautiful sight. It's a perfect circle rimmed in white mineral crust against the bright blue but simmering waters.
Did you fall in?
At the time, the boardwalks were simple wooden paths with no guardrails that split sharply around the pool at a close distance. Visitors had to make almost a complete right turn at one of the forks in the walkway to stay on it, but for some reason Andy didn't. Whether steam from the pool hit his eyes, or it was a moment of distraction, or just the misfortune of a slip, Andy went straight ahead instead of turning. In an instant, he was in the pool where the water temperature hovered around 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93.3 Celsius. That's hot enough to kill almost instantly. Witnesses said Andy tried to swim a couple of strokes, his small arms moving through the near boiling water before he sank beneath the surface. His mother, father, sister, and brother could only stand there and helplessly watch him disappear seconds after falling in. Andy's death was one of roughly 200 fatalities recorded.
Flash fried? Yes, you just literally get fried alive. I think your organs would instantly just shut down after like a couple of seconds, no?
Recorded in the entire national park system that year, but his stood out. It wasn't a fall from a cliff or an animal attack. Instead, it was something that seemed completely preventable. The lack of railings, the sharp turn in the walkway, and the deceptively calm crested pool all combined in the worst way possible. His parents, devastated by the loss though, didn't let the matter rest. They turned their grief into determination and pressured the National Park Service to take safety more seriously, and their efforts eventually paid off. Andy's death would become the catalyst for change. It would push the agency to secure more funding for safety programs, establish dedicated safety officers in major parks, and rethink how visitors are protected around dangerous features.
You always have to protect idiots. Again, sometimes it's not your fault, but like 99% of the fault is very likely on the parents. Not supervising children and stuff and just like not paying attention.
This obviously didn't bring Andy back.
Yeah, it's good that they put the rails in, but I mean people still climb over them and get into the pools anyway.
The crested pool still bubbles away today, and tourists walk past it daily, likely unaware that it was once the site of a tragedy that helped to reshape how national parks protect their visitors.
That's fucked up.
Unfortunately, these changes weren't enough to prevent all future tragedies.
Alive.
The next story is one that was included in one of the first videos ever posted to the channel. It's one that I'm sure most people can strongly relate to, and I certainly do, and so it's always stuck with me.
Okay.
Given the subject of the video, it made sense to include it again here, but be warned, it is tragic.
Soldier.
On a summer day in 1981, visitors near the Celestine Pool in Yellowstone watched a scene unfold that was as heartbreaking as it was horrifying. David Allen Kerwin, a 24-year-old visiting from California, was with his friend Ronald when Ronald's dog Moosey suddenly got free and leapt into the Celestine Pool.
No!
To anyone who hasn't seen it, the Celestine is strikingly beautiful with a rich aquamarine color, but it's also one of Yellowstone's deadliest hot springs.
Just didn't pay attention.
Temperatures in the pool hover around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and the moment Moosey hit the water, the dog began to struggle. In response, instinctively, David leapt into action, taking 2 steps into the pool before diving headfirst beneath the waters.
Oh my god. Oh. I mean, I appreciate the gesture, but doggy wouldn't want you to die for me too.
Bystanders yelled at David.
If there's a chance to save them, I would probably do it. But it's like, you're not gonna save him, so what's the point? Yeah, you didn't think about it.
Not to go in, but watching a dog suffer was its own kind of torment, and David couldn't just stand by. He would end up reaching Moosey and tried to pull her out, but the heat was unbearable. He then let go, and moments later, he slipped beneath the water himself.
Yeah.
Ronald, meanwhile, desperate to save his friend, rushed the edge and managed to drag him back, but not without burning his own feet in the process.
Oh my jeez. Oh
Those who were there said David's body bore the immediate and devastating effects of the boiling water. His skin peeled, his hair fell out in clumps, and his sense of sight was completely burned away.
Yep.
At one point, when someone tried to remove his shoe,
you're like actually just a full-blown invalid.
Much of his foot came away with it.
Doesn't skin begin to melt at 45 to 50 degrees? Let's look it up. At what point does skin boil away? Blood boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, so 100 degrees. So what happens is your veins quite literally boil your blood alive. So you just instantly die, pretty much. Yeah. That is horrible. Yep. Boiling water at this temperature, skin can be damaged almost instantaneously at 100 degrees. Hot water, 60 degrees causes scalding injuries in about 5 seconds. And this guy dove in head first too, so he just probably went blind instantly. I would want to die faster. God, I don't know. I think being burned or being boiled alive is one of the worst ways to die. Genuinely, I think one of the best ways to die is probably from drowning, because at least you're probably gonna swallow a bunch of water and not be able to breathe and you pass out. Yeah. Not that I'm like wanting to die or anything, I'm just saying.
He had sustained third-degree burns over his entire body. In the chaos of the aftermath, David managed to speak a few words that would be remembered long afterward.
Probably
Quote,
another one too.
"That was stupid. How bad am I? That was a stupid thing I did." And despite the effort
Drowning's not better? No. Like, I've heard accounts. Like, it's so much better to fucking drown. Drowning's one of the worst ones? No. Really? Gunshot? Nah. I'm talking, like, not from, like, induced from, like, Mother Nature type shit.
rescuers, there was no saving him. David survived only a few excruciating hours before dying the next morning in a Salt Lake City hospital. And Moosey, the dog he desperately tried to save, never made it out either. Sadly, this story isn't a unique one, as an eerily similar one played out at the park recently. On October 4th, 2021, a family trip to Yellowstone turned tragic when a young woman from Washington State was badly burned trying to save her dog.
Oh, God.
The 20-year-old and her father had stopped.
I wouldn't take my dog out. I would be too paranoid. Like, fucking Juji, he pulls on his leash a lot, and I always have to control him. Why would you do that?
Their vehicle along Fountain Flat Drive, south of Madison Junction, in an area dotted with hot springs and thermal features. As they got out to look around, their dog leapt from the car and bolted straight into Maiden's Grave Spring.
No! I couldn't. I'd leave the dog in the car. I'd fucking just keep him there leashed up and it's fine.
This is a pool near the Firehole River with a water temperature around 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
You can't help him, man.
Without hesitation, the woman followed her dog into the spring, desperate to pull him out. But immediately, the scalding water enveloped her body from the shoulders down, causing severe burns in seconds. Her father would manage to pull her out of the spring and rush her towards West Yellowstone, Montana. Once they were there, park rangers and members of the fire department provided emergency care before transferring her to the burn center at Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center.
Oh my gosh.
The park later confirmed the woman had sustained significant injuries, although no further details on her condition were made available. Tragically, the dog did not survive the ordeal.
I do appreciate, like, the first instinct for someone who loves their animal is to, like, save them, but fuck me, man. Yeah.
It was retrieved from the spring, and her father took it to a veterinarian, but nothing could be done to save it.
Yeah.
20 years earlier, in August 2000, 20-year-old Sarah was working in Yellowstone as a park concession employee. Like many young seasonal workers, she spent her off hours exploring the park with her friends, soaking in the kind of freedom and adventure that comes with living in one of the most extraordinary places on Earth. On August 21st, Sarah and two coworkers set out for a swim in the Firehole River.
Ooh,
this is a popular spot.
Firehole, totally not an appropriate name or anything.
The water is fed by hot springs and stays relatively warm. After their swim, they began the hike back to their dormitories near Old Faithful. Unfortunately, though, it was a moonless night and the group carried no flashlights. It was just three young people navigating by memory and little else. And as they cut across the lower geyser basin, the darkness played tricks on them.
Why would
They thought they were approaching a shallow stream, but that's not what it was.
No. Why are you wandering around in the dark? No!
Instead, they came across Cavern Springs, a 10-foot or 3-meter deep thermal pool heated to a blistering 178 degrees Fahrenheit or 81 Celsius. Unaware of the danger just below them, the three of them jumped in together. Sarah then slipped beneath the water completely, and her body was instantly covered in burns. Her friends, 18-year-olds Tyler and Lance, managed to scramble out, but not before sustaining severe burns themselves.
Smell?
Both of them were almost completely covered in second and third degree burns. Sarah, in contrast, though, was even worse. She was pulled out and rushed to medical care, but the damage she suffered was...
What? You wouldn't feel like the heat coming off of the pool? Like, don't you feel like a hot kettle near you?
...irreversible. Her burns were just too extensive, with 3rd degrees covering 100% of her body.
Wow.
For nearly 15 hours afterwards, she clung to life, enduring unimaginable pain before dying on the afternoon of August 22nd.
Oh, these are horrible. That reminds me of the guy that survived some... What is it called? Like he fell into a... Like, he fell into, like, a nuclear reactor of some sort, and then he survived for, like, 2 months. God, that was horrifying, too. It's like another thing where it's, like, the radiation burns you for, like, weeks at a time.
And Lance, meanwhile, both survived after
alive.
long hospital stays in Salt Lake City. The investigation into what happened later found no evidence of drinking or anything else. It was a simple, devastating mistake.
The firefighters? No, it was a guy that fell in.
The landscape in the world.
Not the Demon Core guy. It was some guy that fell into like a... He was pouring stuff in and it reacted? Was that it? I thought someone fell in. Well, either way, it's like he had the radiation, you know, burns, and then they kept him alive for like 4 months or something?
Worst way possible. In the summer of 2022, Yellowstone Hot Springs claimed another life, but this time under circumstances that remain a complete mystery. On July 31st, a 7-year-old man from Los Angeles entered the West Thumb Geyser Basin, an area on the shores of Yellowstone Lake where steaming pools and vents bubble against the backdrop of open water. Exactly what happened next, no one knows. Unlike many of Yellowstone's tragedies, there were no witnesses, no frantic calls for help, and no desperate rescue attempts. For more than 2 weeks...
Well, yeah, it's a massive park. Like, at the same time, even in peak tourist season, I think, like, because it's such a huge park, there's no help to, like, get you to. You're kind of, like, just on your own at that point.
There was no sign anything was even wrong.
Yeah.
Then, on August 16th, visitors spotted something floating in the Abyss Pool, one of the basin's most infamous hot springs. The Abyss is a deep, dark blue pool that plunges down more than 50 feet or 15 meters, with water temperatures around 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 Celsius.
Yeah.
It looks calm on the surface, but it's every bit as deadly as the hotter springs scattered around the park.
Yeah, it only takes 5 seconds for you to get 3rd degree burns at 60 degrees Celsius. At 100 degrees, it's instantaneous.
Floating in the water that day was a shoe, and inside was part of a human foot. Rangers then recovered the remains and launched an investigation, eventually using DNA evidence to identify them as belonging to the man. However, no one could say how he ended up in the pool, and there were no signs of foul play. So park officials determined that it was likely he entered the spring on his own, but whether it was an accident or intentional, no one can say for certain. Decades earlier, on the night of February 10th, 1988, a group of employees from the Old Faithful Snow Lodge set out for some backcountry skiing. This was the kind of fun outing that comes with working in Yellowstone during the winter months. In the Shoshone Geyser Basin, one of the skiers, a young man employed at the lodge, then accidentally fell into a thermal pool.
Why would you
It's not entirely clear if he slipped or what, but either way, it was devastating. In seconds, scalding water seared his body, burning through clothing and skin.
Oh my god!
By the time his friends pulled him out, he had suffered severe 2nd degree burns across 60 to 70% of his body.
Oh my god, that's horrifying.
Then afterward, in the darkness and freezing temperatures...
It ate through the clothes. The clothes didn't save him, chat. If anything, I've read that clothes make it worse because they can attach and, like, keep the, like, the acidity and the water in between you and the skin. Because normally, like, water glides off, right? But with the clothes, it's probably, like, clinging onto him.
They did what they could, giving him basic first aid before setting out to find help.
Oh, my lord.
It wasn't until 4 o'clock the following morning that park rangers were even alerted to the accident. Getting help to him, however, was almost impossible. At the time, heavy snow and high winds were hammering the park, making visibility near zero. Aircraft just couldn't fly, and the rangers faced brutal conditions trying to reach the remote basin.
Oh my lord.
Hours passed afterward as the man's friends tried desperately to keep him alive. By mid-morning, his condition worsened, and around 10:30 a.m. he stopped breathing.
Yeah.
They would then try CPR, refusing to give up hope, but the burns were too severe, and the long wait for rescue was just too much. I appreciate the effort, guys.
I'm gone.
At 1 p.m., he was declared dead. Recovery wasn't even possible that day either. The weather remained so harsh that a helicopter mission to retrieve his body had to be postponed until the following morning.
Oh my god.
Finally, and maybe most recently, in September of 2024, a 60-year-old woman visiting from New Hampshire was hiking with
Wait, this is recent! This is from last year!
Husband and their dog near Old Faithful.
Oh no,
like millions
not
of visitors
another
before
dog,
her, she was there to marvel
please.
at the famous eruption. But, again, away from the boardwalks and marked paths, the ground isn't always as solid as it might look.
Uh-oh.
At some point, the woman strayed off trail. She likely didn't realize just how fragile the crust was under her feet or how close she was.
Ding dong.
With a single misstep, the ground beneath her gave way, and one of her legs plunged through straight into near boiling water, looking just under the surface. Scalding water at temperatures near 200 degrees Fahrenheit doesn't give the body time to react. It destroys skin and muscle within seconds. Her husband and dog were unharmed, and they managed to pull her out, but she was left with severe third-degree burns. Somehow afterward, through the shock and agony, the group managed to get to a nearby clinic before she was airlifted to a hospital for more advanced treatment.
That is such
but thankfully,
a skill issue.
Unlike so many other stories, she survived.
There are so many signs all over the park. They tell you, please, please don't stray off the boardwalk. You will die. And then people just do it anyway. People are so stupid.
Although the injuries
and then they try to sue the parks.
Suffered would be lasting. Yellowstone National Park is a bit of a paradox. It's one of the most stunning natural landscapes in the world, but for all its beauty, it's also one of the most dangerous places you can visit,
It looks like Warlords of
careful.
Draenor, like Nagrand.
These stories are just reminders of what happens when a single step goes wrong or a poor decision is made. Some of them strayed knowingly from the rules, others were caught off guard by steam or darkness, and a few simply didn't realize the ground beneath them was merely a paper-thin crust. Park rangers and historians have repeated the warnings for more than a century, and yet every few years, someone crosses a line and pays with their life.
Gorgon,
the hydrothermal features that draw millions of visitors each year are the same ones that have dissolved bodies, seared flesh, and left families forever scarred by loss.
Yeah.
What makes these deaths and near-deaths sting all the more is how deceptively inviting Yellowstone can be. In the end, Yellowstone is a place of wonder, but it's also a place of completely raw and unpredictable nature. Stay on the paths and heed the warnings, and you'll likely leave with unforgettable memories.
Yep.
But step too close, and you may not leave at all.
That's right, chat.
If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you have a story suggestion, feel free to submit it to the forum found in the description.
Amazing.
Also, if you want to support the channel, consider joining the Patreon or becoming a channel member here on YouTube.
Scary.
Anyways, thanks again, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.
Forbidden water, chat. It looks tasty, but you shouldn't drink from it, please. Chad, if you ever go to like Yellowstone, please, I don't want to hear about no smugglers getting into trouble. Please, for the love of God. I love to visit Yellowstone once before I die. Hi, me too. That sounds awesome. It's in Wyoming, right? Like in a couple of states, but the largest section is in Wyoming, right? Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yellowstone Park, let me see. It's in Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. But the biggest portion is in Wyoming. Very cool. Yeah, one day I'll go. That'll be cool. I gotta see it at least once. One time. One time. Broken model? Ah! Ah! Ah!